Hello friends and welcome to the Union Labor Advisory Network. I'm Mike Fina. Today I'm extremely proud and privileged to be with two people that have really helped to shape the career of my life within the union labor space. We have Cyndie Williams, Executive Director for the Carpenter Contractor Trust, and Anthony Abrantes, Assistant EST for the Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters. So I just want to thank both of you guys for being here with us today to learn a little bit more about your background, history, and experience. How you got started into the union labor space, and now we're really into your leadership roles, educating the world and New Jersey and all the other states about what these career opportunities could really look like. So again, Cyndie, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us in this beautiful facility here in Edison, New Jersey. Can you let us, the audience, know a little bit more about you and your career?
Sure. So I hail now on behalf of the Carpenter Contractor Trust, which is a labor management trust for the Carpenters Union. I work day to day, hand in hand with Anthony and his team at EAS. And it's been a long journey of growth in leadership along the way and a lot of experience later to get where I am today. And if it's one thing I can say about the organization we both belong to is that they grow their ranks within. And so there's lots of mentorship along the way that has happened to develop me into the leader that I stand before you today. And I'm so proud that I lucked into this thing. I'll say that right out of the gates. With the Carpenter Contractor Trust, we market on behalf of the union. So that's the best way to put it together, and we can get into the weeds on what we do on a day-to-day basis. But essentially, our job is to show the good work of carpenters, skilled labor out there in the community and connect to industry partners. So that's as simple as it gets. But in reference to my personal history, I came in, I fumbled kind of through college. I went to a school and with my peers kind of tried to decide, am I going to college? Am I going to work right out of the gates? And I did a little bit of both. I was working and going to community college because I wasn't fully committed to something. And during that time, I really had a knack for wanting to learn carpentry and kind of took a gamble by just calling a vocational school to see if I could tap into just even taking classes while I was trying to figure it all out. And the person on the other end of the phone gave me the tip of trying to get into the union because they put you through school for free, is what he said. So I did that, and I went on an interview and lucked into this thing, and again had no idea what I was heading into as far as a journey. So I had just the desire to learn, to grow. I got on my first job site after being hired, and really the rest is history. I didn't have to know all about carpentry. I came in as a first-year apprentice and went through a 4-year school, and it was in Kenilworth at the time. Now we were here in the new school, which was I believe opened in 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. But at the time we had a school in Kenilworth, and that's the school I learned under. And all the instructors, were there to kind of watch me grow throughout that 4-year time. And if it's one thing I'll say about the Carpenters Union is there's always folks that are looking to lift you up if you're someone that they deem as someone who has the qualities to come into leadership roles. And so that was my luck at the time, and kind of being open to the learning process. Went on various job sites between bridges, hospitals, roads, schools, all the major commercial construction projects that you can think of that a union carpenter would perform. And I was able to be exposed to all of that. And it was a wild ride and a lot of fun being out there working on behalf of our industry. And it was a lot of hard work, and I had an opportunity, somebody approached me about coming into pre-apprenticeship roles. So I came in to the Job Corps program as an instructor, probably about 8 years into my career. So I had a lot of time out there in the field to develop my craft. So I went and taught pre-apprenticeship for the Job Corps program here in Edison. And, after a few years of doing that, I was picked to become more leadership roles and was able to oversee some programs on the Eastern Seaboard for a long period of time, which was incredible. I got to know all of the councils across, I would say from Kentucky all the way east. So I had a big map of people to connect to. And the idea there is that the pre-apprentices will hopefully, the best of the best will become union carpenters. So we worked hand in hand with the Carpenters Union to try to allow opportunity to happen. So, that's been my role all along, is trying to make sure that we're connecting to people to allow that space and opportunity to happen for folks that are trying to gain careers in carpentry. So again, did that. Then after that, I was picked to become a council representative right here locally, which was incredible. I took that opportunity and was able to be repping on job sites for the Carpenters Union and an advocate for the members, making sure that the job sites are safe, connecting with industry, connecting with the contractor base. And I think all of that kind of pulled together to allow me to slide into the position that I'm doing now, which is working on behalf of all of the umbrella, right? That's the contractor base, union leadership, the membership, and training here. So all of those pieces come together in learning over the 26 years that I've been a part of things. And I'm really happy to do it and continue to learn and grow every day. So that's a little bit about me. And I appreciate you having me here to talk with you today. But again, my partnership with Anthony and our growth over the years together as a team, I couldn't have a better partner in crime, if you will, in Anthony. So, I'm happy that we're here sitting together today to talk.
And both of you guys working together, co-founders of the Labor Lounge podcast that you guys also have as well. And we talk about marketing, exposing other people about these incredible career opportunities. I know we'll get into that a little bit later on today. But Anthony, again, sitting on the side over here, let's learn a little bit more about you and your career path, because you have a nice, incredible, story and progression. And for me to know you from business rep into one of the locals within the Carpenters in my past profession, and to your profession or your career now, just really proud to know you. And again, like I mentioned before, both inspiring people to me, and excited to showcase all the incredible work that you guys are doing. So I'll shut up.
Absolutely.
I'll shut up. I know I talk a lot. So
No. We have a long-standing relationship. We got to see each other grow, just like myself and Cyndie. So not much different than Cyndie. I was non-traditional coming into the trades, particularly carpentry. For me, I'm a first-generation American. So like when my dad came here, he was a tradesperson. But it wasn't like you're going into trades because I'm in the trades, right? It wasn't that legacy relationship. It was more of like you're here. You have the American opportunity, and you're going to college. I was fortunate enough to go to college on a baseball scholarship. And then while I was in college, at the time, I interned at the Attorney General's office here in New Jersey. Law enforcement was my original path. And then I decided I wasn't going to do that based on timing, engagement, house, starting pay, just didn't match up to what I was looking to do. And at the time, I just fell into a career just to make money because I just graduated college. And it happened to be a window treatment company that did most of their work in New York City, non-union. And while I was working for that company, my original local at the time, which was 620 out of Madison, actually organized that company to be part of the Carpenters Union. So I just got lucky, to be honest with you. Like, I happened to be at the right place at the right time, got brought into the union, no experience, no relationships, none of that. My niche was shades, blinds, motorized shades, and skylights. That's all I knew. And when I had gotten to union, I spent three to 4 years, close to 4 years in the field. And I think 4 years in, at the time was New Jersey Regional Council of Carpenters back in 2007. And they had put out a solicitation to all the folks that were members, like, hey, are you interested in becoming a union organizer? And I had no relationships. I took a chance. So I sent in my application. It was like a year-long process, quite cumbersome. We did like a math test, a visual test, initial interview, sent you out to Vegas for a 3-day evaluation just to see your organizing capabilities, put you in a million different scenarios, like how to organize workers, how to overcome challenges, how to get yelled at by large groups. Got through that. I did very well. And then we had a 6-panel interview at the time from all the leadership from the New Jersey Regional Council of Carpenters. And in all honesty, I think they took a chance on me, like totally different background, didn't go to vocational school, came out of high school, went to college. And I think they were like, all right, well, let's try somebody that may bring a different perspective to the industry as an organizer. And in 2008, I got hired as an organizer, and I was fortunate enough, like from 2008 till now, to literally progress through the organization. Now, don't get me wrong, I had like a couple bumps in the road because I was not involved in a local. I didn't have any relationships to the union. I wasn't politically involved. I wasn't volunteering. I was just a union carpenter at the time. And I had to prove myself, which I think I did. And between 2008 and now, I was fortunate to be an organizer, a council representative, senior council representative, I think a political director, organizing director, to where I am now as the assistant executive secretary treasurer. So I'm blessed, in all honesty, to be where I'm at. And to Cyndie's point earlier, like, I had a lot of people that supported me, mentored me. They could have turned their back on me because I wasn't necessarily one of them, right? But that's not what the Carpenters are. The carpenters, I could say, regardless of where you come from, what your educational background is, what your socioeconomic status is, whether you were a legacy or not, give people the opportunity to advance. And I'm one of those stories. Cyndie's one of those stories. And in my role today, I'm blessed to represent 43,000 members. We have 6 states, Washington, D.C., and mainly I'm doing politics, business development, policy, anything that creates market share and opportunity for our members and contractors. That's kind of why we're so aligned in what we do. We believe that we're the voice of opportunity for workers, the industry, and contractors. And that's, to your point, that's where kind of Labor Lounge came about. It's like, what vehicle could we use to tell a story together? And it's been quite a run so far. I mean, I got a long way to go, but so far it's been a great experience. And it's never a dull moment, never a boring day. You get to meet people from all different walks of life, whether it's someone that's really struggling to some of the most wealthiest people in the country and everything in between. And it's all about facilitating opportunity at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Got to get it done.
And it's really promoting these career opportunities. And for me, I know you sit in the political field as well. I'm not really in labor's politics, but for me, as a previous banker, understanding macro, the bigger picture, economic development, what these career opportunities could look like, the progression, like yourselves, have grown, and there's a career path for you within the labor, within the union labor space. These apprenticeship opportunities. So maybe you can go over into a little bit more about your collaboration with some of the universities and how you're working in conjunction with the educators to say these are career paths. You don't have to necessarily go to a 4-year college and then maybe look at a different profession. Sure. Now you're getting all the accreditations to get your bachelor's degree. Sure. And I don't want to steal any thunder, but these are some of the things that you guys put into place to really change people's lives that don't have say I want to be a cop, court, fireman, teacher, maybe what it was I'm looking to do, and the trades could be a perfect fit.
Sure, yeah, and I think that makes us more appealing to parents as they consider options for careers for their young people that are coming through middle school, high school, etc. That we have now that extension of education. I think, myself included, Anthony, we value education, and if it's one thing I've known is that in the Carpenters Union, you're always learning, and we dedicate everything to training. We're out flying to Vegas constantly to get upgrade training. So it's always been our mission to make sure that we're tuning up and sending out the most well-educated carpenter for the amount of money that they command. And so that goes without saying on the training side. But over the recent years, we've been able to connect to colleges, universities, to allow some of these crossover credits of just learning, growing, and working on a job site to translate into college credits. And so, there's many different vehicles that we've been able to provide for young people. So it starts in high school. You can take an AP class in your vocational shop in carpentry and be able to earn college credits through the curriculum that we've developed and started getting into schools in the last 10, 15 years. It's called Career Connections. And so it's wonderful. And it's a vehicle that we can now connect back to high schools and say, this is a viable career option, but you also get the best of both worlds, where you're not paying for these AP credits, but they're affordable and afforded to these individuals just by way of tapping into this curriculum. So whether they ever become a carpenter or not, they have access to these credits, which is incredible. And that opens up the doors for us to be able to get into high schools, have conversations, support CTE shops, and eventually tune up someone in high school that's more geared and ready to take this on as a career. So it's exciting for me because it's something that I wish I had access to when I was that age. And for a long time, it was college, and they shut the doors to trades and started closing shops down in high schools. And it's not a one-size-all-fits package, So I see that for my own children, and there's just so many opportunities out there to have an incredible career. And I'm one of those people that found that. I bought my house at a really early age because I made enough money that I could afford to buy something within the first few years of my apprenticeship. But that said, we now are opening doors to colleges that come in and partner with us so that they can give side-by-side credits to earn associate's degree, while they're here in training in our program here at the apprenticeship side, as well as if they pick up a few more classes while they're here, they're able to earn a bachelor's by the end of this 4-year program. So it's not a one-size-fits-all as far as what they can access to, but certainly we give the roadmap for them to be able to walk out of here with a bachelor's degree and do it with less money, less debt, and a more tuned up carpenter ready to go regardless of where they choose to take their career. Yeah. So it's exciting. It's
really exciting. And Anthony, I know we'll go back to a little bit, but with the Labor Lounge and how you guys, co-created this. Mm-hmm. Could you go into how it actually got started? And again, obviously the message for the Labor Lounge, what you're trying to accomplish through these particular social media channels and reaching the next generation.
Yeah, so obviously there's a million different ways to connect to people. But the most important way and the most truthful way is through telling your own story. And obviously we have access to so many different social media platforms and radio and television and just being in person. But obviously podcasts are very popular, right? And one of the things that we didn't get into was, all right, well, how do we reach folks through that platform and make sure that we tell a story that's our story versus somebody else telling our story? Because when somebody else tells your story, it's not always necessarily the truth in reality. Mm-hmm. So, we came up with the concept, we pitched it to our leadership, and we thought it was really a good means to bring a diverse perspective to the industry. Not just like carpenter to carpenter and me and Cyndie talking or members talking to us. We want to talk to people outside of the organization. Everyone knows our story internally, right? But what about the contractors, the developers, the community officials, elected officials, all the stakeholders that kind of contribute to the industry? We want to tell them our story and how we impact them. Because the coalition's a lot greater than we want to believe. And so your point earlier about politics, like for us, politics is pointless if it doesn't have policy, right? We play in politics, we're trying good policy to create jobs for folks and for our contractors. Unfortunately, like the world we live in, we have always been accustomed to somebody else telling the story, and it hasn't been the truth. So we use this as a vehicle to bring in other folks that may not necessarily understand the industry, or they do, and they become third-party validators for us because they're professionals in their industry. They tell the story of how carpenters bring value to their job site, how they could still be profitable businesses, but create good-paying middle-class jobs. Talks about developers, about bringing jobs on time, on budget, in an efficient manager, right? Because time is money. Those are the stories we don't hear. We're accustomed to hearing unions cost too much, right? They're lazy, they're slow. We invest $30 million a year in training for a reason, right? This organization has evolved from just organizing immigrant workers to now providing training to bring value to the industry. That's the story that people don't understand. So what Cyndie was just talking about, now we're in the higher education world to give out, confer credits and work with articulation agreements to universities. People don't know that story. We've used the podcast as a means to tell it, and then the feedback that we've gotten internally and externally, even more externally, has been astonishing, right? Like, I never knew that about the organization. I never knew that about the carpenters. And we're not even talking about just carpenters. We're talking about labor, the labor movement as a whole. We brought on professors to talk about the history of labor. We brought on civil rights folks to talk about how the civil rights movement and the labor movement went hand in hand. Because there's folks out there that'll try to lead you to believe that we're not aligned. We have a large, big umbrella that's all-encompassing, and that's important to the industry. And that's why we started up the podcast.
And all that you're doing, obviously, you're making that difference because your followers are growing, your reach is expanding, and you're starting to reach other people of inspiring or like minds to bring them in and share that particular story. And for me, as we've known each other for so long. Macro is a banker. This is the cash flow. Without the members, there's no union. And the way to organize that next generation of educators are through the schools and those vocational schools. And Cyndie mentioned before, when I was younger, I went to a Catholic high school. They didn't have that in high school.
As did I, yeah.
So, full circle, you go back. Now we're, older now, and I'm seeing the emergence of these vocational schools come out. And training or inspiring that next generation, those young minds. When I was young, stockbroker, in the finance world, that's where everybody's making money. This is I want to chase the cash. Now, understanding, these particular skill trades that you could take anywhere, right? These are skill sets that you'll never lose. And the more you talked about like getting these particular certifications, growing your career, this is like you're padding your resume to be able to make more money and to be able to go through facilities like this and have access to this. It's like the golden ticket. and it just makes me really excited to, to work with you to really showcase that and promote these particular initiatives.
Yeah, and the industry has evolved over the years. I mean, we used to have really that it was legacy carpenters, where it was generations of folks that would just pass it down, and we've opened our doors to say, this is, you don't have, it's not cookie cutter.
Right.
Anyone can be in here as long as they have the ability to learn, they can hustle, and they can hone their craft, right? So it definitely, I've seen the change over the years, but there's so much more to it, the open opportunities are immeasurable. You can be a superintendent, a project foreman, you can be an instructor, you can be a leadership role for the council, an owner. With CCT, good point. We've developed a grassroots program just by way of need to grow our contractor base, because we're realizing that generationally there are some businesses out there that are just locking the door and putting the keys on the table and walking away without really thinking, hey, who can I pass this on to? And we're trying to make sure that, the conversation is had, that there is maybe somebody out there that wants to take you over, and B, also growing some of the strong-minded individuals that have that entrepreneurial spirit that want to start their own business. And we're working with them, we're mentoring them, we're grassroots just trying to give them access to how to learn how to bid projects, how to learn how to have a crew, pay your benefits, all of the other ins and outs of owning a business, which is cumbersome, by the way, and it's a lot to take on, but showing them the whole package of what they could have, and saying, do you have it in you to take this risk? But it's a risk that we're supportive of, and we're helping them to kind of realize all of the nuances before they even start or attempt to start their own business. So it's really exciting, and we're doing that throughout the council. We have all of the council reps on board to support people and line them up with the right projects, and it's already, we've seen successes, and it's only been going for about 2 years now. So it's really starting to grow some legs, and the sky's the limit, because we start to give more contractors into the funnel. That's more people that have opportunities to go to work. So we're always looking at it as, how can we grow as a package? How can we grow as a team? And so
and you mentioned like vocational studies in high school, or the lack thereof. Like when I was in high school, we had welding, we had wood shop, we had home ec, we had sewing. We had things that taught you like the day-to-day life skills. That went away for decades. What we're seeing now is a major comeback, but the investment isn't there to put those things back in those schools. We've kind of supplemented that, at least for the carpentry, by bringing some curriculum to those schools. And what I could tell you is, besides bringing vocational balance and higher education balance to those parents and those students, there has been an influx of people wanting to get into the trades, where for decades we didn't have that, right? We are fortunate and unfortunate, that you have a surplus of people wanting to get into trades, less fortunate that there's not as many union jobs as we'd like to see. But there are people that want to be in the building trades, they want a good career, they want to be part of the middle class, they want to hone their skills and be skilled tradespeople and create opportunities. So the opportunity is really there. It's just, how do we grow that pie?
furthermore, the reason why it's important for us to get out there and talk to some of these individuals that are out there and can help move those doors and create wide open opportunities for communities, because that is the puzzle, is trying to get some of these community players to come together and say, we have access, we can help these things happen.
Absolutely, we all play a role, right?
Yeah.
And like I mentioned before, I'm not into the political realm, but Anthony, I know that's a place that you work in, because politics is policy. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more about that, because that is creating these economic job opportunities as well. And as I try to promote, find those inspiring people to showcase their message, your message is through your membership, right? And what you're doing with your podcast and bringing those people on to share that story, like I said, is extremely impactful, because sometimes you're at the ivory tower and you're listening to some leadership and say, this is how it's going to be. And you have your peers, in the field and say, this is how you're going to progress to get there.
Yeah. Listen, the reason I said politics without policy is pointless is because most people have no idea of how politics correlates to job opportunities, even outside of the construction industry. When we have elected officials that create policies, good, bad, or indifferent, it drives opportunity or pulls back on opportunity. Or if they make investments, it creates opportunity or pulls back on opportunity. And what we've learned from this side of the industry, right, being in our roles, is that good political relationships create good policies for working class people and for our good business partners. Whether it's prevailing wage laws or project labor agreements or responsible contractor ordinances or raising apprentice standards, all of that is an economic driver. And what the day-to-day person doesn't realize is, right, because most people are apolitical, is whether you're a carpenter or a white-collar worker, there are policies that affect you, right? Most people don't invest the time to understand that because all we care about is we want to go to work, we want to create opportunities for our children and our grandchildren, put food on the table, and pay reasonable amount of taxes, right? And live a decent life. For us, we get to be in the weeds on what's actually happening behind the scenes, and we get to be advocates for not just union people, but all working people, to say that this is an important policy to create opportunity. And bad policies can destroy opportunity. So, good thing is, we're a bipartisan organization. We get to work with all sides, and some of these relationships take years to cultivate, because people are brainwashed into believing one segment of society, when in reality, we can create good policy that supports the business community and also supports working class people. Obviously, we live in a capitalist society. I'm a capitalist, I'm sure Cyndie's a capitalist, but you could be a capitalist with a conscience, right? You can make good money and create good jobs at the same time. You do not have to sacrifice one for the other. And I think getting through that, breaking through that barrier is challenging, and we're the perfect example of how you showcase that. Good union, large contractors who do the right thing are very profitable and successful, but they're also creating opportunities for working class people who can buy a decent home, buy a car, send their kids to college, and create generational wealth. We could do that together, right? But it's overcoming the challenge, going back to the podcast and telling that story. Because if we don't tell a story, someone's going to tell a different story.
Absolutely.
And also highlighting the contractors that are doing it right.
Yeah.
That take care of their people, they take care of their workforce. There's dignity in their day-to-day operations, and we're sharing those stories with the masses.
I was just going to tee that up too, because Cyndie, you're out there, and I'm watching some of the video content that you guys are creating as well. Doing just that, going through different signatory contractors and some of the jobs that they're creating.
Yes.
And then showcasing some of the work that they're actually doing, within, New Jersey or the other states that you guys work through. To say, this is what we built together.
Sure.
And then showcasing that how those job drivers or the skilled trade pool that they have access to through the training center that they invest in is really creating those particular jobs.
Yeah, for sure. And we love to do it because the more that we think about new opportunities and doing it a little different, it creates more open doors, and we just highlighted a new contractor that has a completely different concept than most that we know. And it has the potential to grow legs and be super successful. And with the right support, you water the plant and it grows, we can help that along. And so, be it highlighting a contractor that's just taking care of the people that work for them through good healthcare and mental awareness and substance abuse awareness and all of the extras that they put in play, it just makes it a more marketable contractor to work for, and those are the people that are running in the front, and we want to share those stories so that maybe some of them that aren't doing it the right way are tuning up to the idea that maybe if you take care of your people better, we don't have that problem because we pay, the union pays a great salary, a great wage, but and at the end of the day, it is about production, but telling the story that we're all in the same boat here, and we're together in this thing. It helps level the playing field for our contractor base.
And one thing about that is members and workers need a voice, but so do contractors. And to Cyndie's point, there's a lot of good contractors out there, no different than hard working class people that don't get involved and speak up because they're doing the right thing and they're too consumed in trying to break bread and make money. It's usually the people that are doing the wrong thing that are the most vocal, and we're the means to combat that story on behalf of our contractors who really do the right thing, put their neck on the line, inherit all the liability and risk as an employer, pay good wages, but still need to make money, right? Because if they're successful, we're successful. So it's a strategic partnership versus the alternative, which is make as much money as possible by undermining the industry and workers. Yep. That's the narrative. That's the fight we're fighting against.
Yeah, and that's showcasing the solidarity, that collective, working together, and really highlighting those signatories because they're the ones employing those members that are working within the apprenticeship program.
Yep. They're
the ones that fully certified, and you know what you're getting when you're hiring a union member on.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
To do floors, to be a diver or a millwright, and understanding those particular skilled crafts and what they can do
Yeah.
is exciting. And I know we're here at the training center today, so we're going to get a walk through a little bit
Yep.
later on to identify these specific trades. Because for me, I look at it too. If you're a high school student or somebody that had no idea about the trades, like what is a millwright? What's a floor layer? You know, what are these particular, there's probably 5, 6, 7 different trades underneath the carpenter umbrella of if you have no idea what that opportunity is, like
Yeah.
how do you go into it? And you guys are just showcasing that, providing that information, being very transparent on those things, which I think is driving so much opportunity.
Yep.
And it's just, again, it's really exciting to work along people like yourselves to showcase that and to really highlight really the incredible work that you guys are doing with the CCT, EAS, Carpenters, UBC as a whole.
Yep.
And again, my background in history is just to see our progression and working together. You know, I hope to make a difference, and I know you guys are doing that today. So I just want to thank you for what you do.
Yep. Well, it's a lifestyle, and we're happy to be part of it.
So when a 4-year, so once a member graduates their 4-year apprenticeship, does the learning stop?
Yeah. So here's the reality. You have a 4-year apprentice program, all-encompassing on-the-job training, classroom training is 8,000 hours for carpenters across our 6-state jurisdiction. So it's 1,000 hours in the field, 7,000 hours. I'm sorry, 1,000 hours in the classroom, 7,000 hours in the field of exposure. When they finish their 4-year apprentice program, it doesn't end there because the industry is constantly advancing, constantly changing. And the reality is no different than, professional industries. You have continuing certifications, right? Continuing education, whether it's here in New Jersey, here in Philadelphia, or we're going to Las Vegas for a really advanced training. And then as a journey person, like you're not pigeonholed into always being a carpenter. Like you have the ability, and we've seen this, time and time again, like normally you go from a journey person to a foreman, general foreman, to a superintendent if you're managing an entire job. But then people transition into the office, right? Now you're an estimator because you understand the business. You're a project manager, a project executive, then Cyndie and manage entrepreneurs. Like our most successful employers were carpenters in the field because they know the value of what we bring to the table. They respect paying people a decent wage. It's hard to do that when you're coming from a different culture. But if you were a union carpenter and you know how much it costs to pay you for your wages and benefits, you'll respect that other brother or sister that's coming into the industry and pay them a decent wage while you make a profit. So, what we've seen as carpenters and most superintendents are carpenters who are running multi-trades because carpenters can tie in all the crafts, right? They don't just know carpentry. They understand the dynamics of when you build a wall, then the electrician needs to run the line, then a plumber needs to run the line. When you put the sheetrock up, the painter has to come in, spackler has to come in, right? You need to be able to coordinate projects. That's why carpenters are good superintendents, and that's why carpenters are good owners. But you have to invest in yourself and make yourself more marketable too. That's why you take advantage of free education, whether it's locally or internationally. And I think our carpenters have—
Or journeyman upgrade classes.
Nothing but opportunity at the end of the day. But no different than any other industry. If you invest in yourself, you're more likely to be successful and marketable in the industry and make more money. If it's the status quo, it's the status quo, right? You'll pigeonhole yourself to be a journey person. But there's absolutely room for advancement for those folks that don't want to be stuck in the field, for 30 plus years.
And it continues to be free training for the member. So these doors stay open after hours on certain weeks, so they can come in after hours after they've worked a full 8-hour day and get this upgrade training to keep them relevant in the industry.
And so when you talk about a lot of the times too, and you see it, what am I paying my membership dues for? What do my dues entail? And you look at all the additional things. Well, if I'm paying my membership dues, like a gym membership, what do I get out of it? Free towels, I got free training. I have all the opportunity to touch base, from a legal standpoint or a policy standpoint, all these things, in working in my favor, making those phone calls, those map-related services as well.
It's a minimal investment for the return you're getting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
minimal investment.
Any final thoughts, messages that I didn't cover, anything that I might have missed? I know I have a long laundry list, but I just want to look down, make sure.
No, listen. I will say this. In our really strong union markets, and we'll just say we'll use New Jersey and Philadelphia for example. A tradesperson, not even including their benefits, could make $110,000 a year. $110,000 a year without student debt is a game changer. So for the folks that are out there that are hesitant to get into trades because there's this blue collar, white collar divide, or someone's telling you can't be successful if you're a blue collar, person. The reality is we have more and more people coming out of college that are graduates trying to get into the trades because they made the wrong decision originally. Now we're not saying higher education doesn't have value, because it does, right? But you can do both, and you can be successful in blue collar America if you're part of an organization like the Carpenters or many of these other trades, and put food on the table, and have health care, and retire with dignity, and still be successful and contribute to society, which is the goal we're trying to accomplish. I mean, we've broken down so many socioeconomic barriers, regardless of where people come from. It's just getting people to know that opportunity is out there. And we've been really strategic and intentional about getting into communities that may have no idea about what's available to them, and working with community leaders to showcase this could be a game changer, not just for that person, not for their family, but for the community as a whole. So that's extremely important for people to understand, is that you can make a really good living if you work hard, you show up, and you embrace the industry.
And with the right coalition, you can really make a difference. I mean, we can be a one-man band, or we could have access to, schools, leadership, politicians, community, and we're willing to work with all of those folks, but they have to be just as bought in as we are, right? In creating those opportunities for the people that live in their communities. So we're always excited to be on the other end of the phone trying to help, but it has to be a collective effort, a team effort. And we have the capacity to do that because we're a large organization. Again, 42,000 members strong, but our leadership is in the hundreds. So we have the access to do that and make the difference in people's lives. So it's just getting that message out there is what we continue to do, and find those leaders that are willing to take that journey with us.
And we walk the walk, not just the talk.
I was going to say you walk and talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yep.
And for me, like I mentioned before, you've both helped shape the course of my career and my life, and I do truly appreciate, both of you guys tremendously, because I would not be here if it wasn't for, the carpenters and so many other trades that believed in me. And when you have these life-changing moments to say, here's an aha moment, you want to make a difference in the world, the change, this is where we are today. And for me to help showcase and highlight two incredible people and what your jobs, entail and what you are doing is a really fulfilling life for me, and just want to be as successful as I can to lobby and be an advocate for union labor, because I know firsthand what these career opportunities look like from every training center, right? I mean, look at those training centers. This is the breeding ground for the next generation of skilled tradespeople, and you guys are doing, phenomenal job. Just to look at these, particular buildings, you walk through here, you feel real proud.
Yeah. And I want to echo that just by saying thank you. Thank you for making your umbrella large enough to involve all of the trades, right? With all unionized trades, we work together to make sure that we're providing opportunities for communities. And we are the Carpenters Union, and we represent on behalf of, but it's a collective of unionized skilled trades that make this happen. And we keep the heartbeat of America going between our bridges, roads, schools, hospitals, you name it. And it's a collection of all of them. And I know that your organization highlights the good work that we are all doing collectively to make that happen. Yeah,
that's why I'm going to showcase Labor Lounge. Make sure you're watching Labor Lounge. These two incredible people putting on their podcast. We got to make sure we aggregate and distribute all that information. So I just want to thank both of you for the time to take with me and to share and showcase all the incredible work that you guys are doing. So,
happy to do it. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been quite the journey.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cyndie, thank you so much. Anthony, appreciate all your time, man.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank all our sponsors for helping to build and promote the ULA Network. It is because of you that we're able to support, educate, and promote informative content relevant to labor. Please subscribe, like, and share our channel and media. I'd like to thank you all for your support.